Welcome, everybody. My name is Jonathan Tripp. I want to welcome you to our show. Today we're going to be talking about, well, actually, this is the beginning of a series called Social for Small Business. And today we're going to be focused on Mastermind or Workshop. Maybe some of the difference between the two, why you should be at least in something, and how that could, I think, at least how I think, maybe some other more important people would think that it's something for you. If you're a solo entrepreneur, if you're a small business, or if you're in charge of, like, say, like a division, a creative division, or something like that within your company, this might be something that you need to pay attention to. So first off, I want to say thank you and welcome to everybody that's here. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. For those of you guys that are watching live on Huzzah, that are here in the chat, thank you guys for being here. It's great to have you. If you're watching us on another platform, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, thank you so much for being there too. Give me a like, give me a share or a subscribe button. Guys, I love connecting with you. And make sure you leave a comment so that I can say hi. I know I don't always get to it right in the middle of the show. Well, it's probably because I'm actually doing a show and sometimes it's a little too many things to do. But right off the bat, I wanted to kind of get right into it. And just kind of ask the question, just generally speaking, how many of you guys are involved in a mastermind right now? Is anybody actually involved in a mastermind? I would be surprised if the answer was yes. How many of you guys have attended a workshop recently? And I want to even say, let's say in the last 2 weeks, you guys actually attended a workshop that had a specific purpose, not just a, hey, let's just talk, but a workshop or something like that where they had, there was a specific purpose, there was a specific outline into something that you went there to learn. Terry, okay, yeah, sign up for one for next week. For live streaming. I hosted the workshop. Nice, Q, excellent, by Mario Armstrong. Oh, live stream by, okay, nice. By the way, here's the mugshot for the day. There we go. So it's almost, and I'm just going to do this really quick. I'm just going to check over. I'm going to check over on a couple of these other streams, really quick. I want to see if there are people watching on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. I want to make sure that, and that they have a chance to be able to see, and I can actually hear and see what they're going to say. So actually what I need to do is actually share this out to our Facebook group. And for those of you guys that don't already know, you can join our Facebook group. The easiest way is just go right over to Facebook, go over to group.jonathantripp.com. And that is a super easy way. To join our group. We also have a Google Plus group, and Terry, at one point, she's one of the admins in our group. She's going to kill me because I still can't get. I haven't yet put the lower third in for our Google Plus group. But if you go over to Google Plus and you search for it, if you search for Jonathan Tripp Live, and if you're live here in Huzzah, somebody here, if not me, I will drop the link. So you guys can join that, because Google Plus is its own thing and it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to do. Yeah, there we go. Terry dropped it in. Oh, hey, look at that. Now they're clickable links. Awesome. All right. So kind of getting right into it. We took care of a lot of housekeeping stuff. Okay. So here's the thing, right? If you are in a mastermind, and Donna, you asked, what would you consider a mastermind to be? Okay, the traditional view of what a mastermind is very simple. It's really pretty straightforward. It's a couple of people that are, I'm going to use the word friendly, meaning they're not adversaries. They're not, they may be competitors, but you can be friendly and be a competitor. That's okay. And the reason why I say friendly is that you're cooperative. So at least two people that get together on a regular basis for the mutual benefit, okay, of each other. And here's the last part: you meet for a purpose. Andrew, you got it right on. Meet with purpose. That's the last thing. So you have those 2-3 factors when put together, and you can be really friendly and maybe have working towards a purpose. But I think you have to have each one of those elements in there in order to have, I think, a successful mastermind. Okay, so just like the the show title today, what is the difference between is mastermind or workshop? Okay, and I'll kind of get right into it this way. A mastermind versus a workshop. A mastermind to me is mainly it's an ongoing thing. At least once a month, if not encouraged more to be, say, once a week at the, and then maybe kind of get into every other week. But I think it needs to be really consistent, and it needs to be dedicated, and it needs to be considered to be important. You don't just show up 5 minutes late and leave 10 minutes early. You haven't done your homework. You don't really listen to anybody, and you certainly, all you're doing is just like copy pasting your link, so to speak. You show up. You can't do that with a mastermind. Now a workshop, okay? A workshop is something that's different. A workshop to me is a one-time thing, okay, versus an ongoing thing. Workshops can be larger. You kind of get to a point where maybe it's too large to be manageable, and then it becomes more of a presentation speaking engagement rather than a workshop. I think what a workshop has to include is some tangible, some practical, some hands-on aspects. Okay, so if you don't have that within a workshop, I think you're going to miss out. It becomes more of just a speaking engagement. Comes a time you're just going to listen to somebody. It's like a visual, it's like an in-person podcast, and that's kind of defeats the whole purpose of what I think a workshop is. The other thing that I think that a workshop is, it has to be super narrow focused. I mean, really to the point. Like today, I'm going to be doing an Instagram workshop for small business to get you started, or to either to get you started, help you set up your account, or to help you start reaching your ideal clients or those that would be interested in your product or service. Giving you actual tangible things. I'm going to be doing, yes, a little bit of a presentation so we have some common ground, but then it is a lot of Q&A for those that are present. So, and by the way, if you are, what that is that if you're a member of our Patreon group, I'm going to send the email out a little bit later on. If you're a member of our Patreon group, you get in free. I just decided to just do it free, not like half cost. No, if you're already supporting me on Patreon, and you can do that, by the way, over at patreon.jonathantripp.com. I'd encourage you to do that. I appreciate all the help and support. You guys help make this show possible. And even if it's for like $1, $5 a month, it actually goes a long way. You'd be surprised. You can be surprised what you can squeeze out of $1 these days. But when you're doing an Instagram workshop, like how I'm going to do one, or just a workshop in general, it has to have really super specific purpose. Okay. And what that really means is that you can't just meander from topic to topic, or you just kind of sit there and drink coffee. Even though I really love coffee, that's not the time and the place to do it. The workshop is roll your sleeves up, let's get our footing, and then we're off to the races. A mastermind, by contrast, I think has some different, and you can structure them differently. Don't get me wrong. It's not like a 1, 2, 3 and you're done. I think what a lot of these like mastermind events can be, some of them are a little bit one-offs, but they need to be really specific in terms of what you're trying to actually accomplish. What is the purpose? And we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. And hey, thank you to everybody that's joining us this morning. Huzzah. Guys, I know I can't actually see the whole list of everybody, but I want to say hi, and it's good to see you guys. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the structure of a mastermind, and this is not, I didn't like invent these rules or these or these principles or anything like that. I am reiterating and kind of, I'm trying to boil it down to really some of the essence, so you get an idea of why a mastermind is important. Okay, that's actually the next question. Why is a mastermind important? And I know some of my pessimistic, sarcastic friends love that poster that says none of us is as dumb as all of us. Okay, and we're afraid, we have like meeting phobia. Okay, and that's how a lot of people are viewing, and they do view mastermind. They look at them as overpriced meetings. Okay, so why would you want to pay $4.90? Well, I think it has to end in a 7, right? Isn't that what the marketers say? It has to, so it's $4.97 for a mastermind, or $3.97, or you can do 4 payments of $197. Okay, whatever the case is, right? When we get into these mastermind groups, we expect, especially when we're putting down a little bit more than a cup of coffee's worth of money, we expect to get some massive results out of it. Okay, I'm not talking about walking on hot coals. I'm not talking about everybody writes down what makes them happy inside, and we pass it in and we have somebody read it. That's not what I'm talking about. Mastermind to me is where you have a small group, a handful of people get together. And they're each there, they each bring their expertise and their perspectives, and they each have an equal footing in terms of being able to contribute to a conversation. Okay, I think that's actually that's a really good thing. Now, I've seen variations on it, and I'll talk to you just a short bit about what I see as an innovative variation on that small group, equal footing, coming together with a purpose, with meaning in as adversaries, not as adversaries, but in a cooperative sense. Okay. So when you do that, I think that having a mastermind, being able to sit down and present your idea, I think everybody, every time you meet, give a quick update. How are things? Was there any progress? And making sure that everybody has a time, and then specifically one person has a little bit more time to present what their, make their presentation or make their point, and then making sure that you have time for critiquing, maybe further questioning. And I don't mean questioning like the Shark Tank. I mean asking questions and then being able to get feedback. Because if you don't have feedback, then it's just another webinar in person, and there's really very little point to it. All right. So that's how I'm kind of seeing a lot of the masterminds and how they actually really work, and how they actually really work well, and when done very consistently and with a great amount of seriousness, not just kind of off the cuff, like I said, you show up late, leave early kind of a thing. I mean, when you're really actually presenting and you go through the efforts and of actually presenting, things like that. Okay. Now, I wanted to share with you a variation on that style, and here's why I think that's really important. Okay. A variation on that is where you still have that smaller core group of where it could be marketers, it could be actors, it could be massage therapists, it could be insurance provider, whatever the case is. You're together for that purpose, and a variation on that would be when you have those experts or those kind of like core group, those 4 to 6, those handful of people, providing room for an audience to sit in and benefit from that mastermind that's happening there. That's a really interesting variation on the idea. I see that there. It's almost like having a panel, but it's more of like you really are watching, not participating. You're being more of a passive audience member rather than an active audience, and that doesn't sit well with everybody. And I certainly wouldn't be saying, look, if you see a mastermind like this, that you should be dropping $2,000 to be a part of that just to listen. And not being able to ask questions or interact or things like that. I think that would be, just watch out if you see things like that. But if you are, what would you pay to be able to sit in on a meeting with some of the top minds in your field, listening to them talk, and not in an interview style, but as a real mastermind where there's a little bit of a back and forth, where they're not always going to agree with each other, but they certainly are there to provide better insight and maybe a perspective that you haven't thought of. So that's what I see. That's what I see a mastermind doing, however the variation is, and I've seen a fair few of those. And I guess I'll just kind of throw the question out before we move on. Is like, does anybody else think that's an interesting idea or something that would be worthwhile? I kind of think so. I do kind of think that's an interesting idea. And that would be very much profitable for those that are watching and participating. So the other one, so we're talking about social for small business. And by the way, if you're kind of just joining us or joined us a little bit late, social for small business is actually going to be kind of an ongoing series. We're going to pop it up here and there as the topic, but I thought that would be probably really beneficial for a good handful of our watchers and viewers, and even as a resource to share out for others to watch. And so if you are watching this on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to tag somebody that you think would benefit from this today. Andrew, you say the challenge is getting the participants to be very open in what's considered to be a very trusting setting. That's very true. And that's a commitment on the individual level. And I know a lot of masterminds really struggle with that, but by creating some really very clear ground rules, and as a leader, if you're leading it, making sure that you really stick to those rules, and defend them, I think you get a much better, you get a sense that somebody is going to defend you in case that, you kind of putting yourself out there. Guys, I mean, it's a thing. It's a difficult thing to put an idea that you have out there and just watch the 5 other people in the room completely shoot it down and say, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. But hopefully when you're in that kind of a setting, you've already entered in and you have raised your own level of trust and expectation that everybody's going to reciprocate and be respectful in that case. If it's not, then maybe that's not a good place for you to be. That's just my thoughts on that. All right. Let's see here. I'm just looking over a couple of the other platforms to see if we had any other questions. I actually don't see them. But so that was the mastermind in a nutshell, boiled down and kind of taken out. And I'll talk a little bit about that in our after show today. And really, it really kind of takes some really specific questions and things like that. So if you guys are watching us, if you want to join live in the chat, you can actually just come on over to huzzah.io/Jonathan Tripp. You'll be able to watch it, okay? And participate that way. Workshops. So we talked about masterminds, workshops, and what's the difference? We talked a little bit about that. I think they have a lot of still the same ground rules. Workshops tend to be a little bit more on the presentation side, in that you have an idea or a set of ideas or an agenda that you're trying to work through. In that presentation education mode. But here's one of the key differences. It's for a shorter amount of time. It's more of a one-off, okay? Meaning you have an event, okay? You're coming together for a very specific purpose. Like I was sharing, I'm doing a workshop today for Instagram for small business. Okay, this is not Instagram for celebrities. This is not how to pick your filter. This is not how to download the app. Although maybe I might cover some of that if people, if people have those questions in the Q&A side. But my whole point really is that you have a very specific time you're going to meet. It doesn't necessarily have to be a small group. It could be, I would honestly say, as many people as you can manage and be able to give your attention to, and that if you do have a time for a Q&A, that you'd be able to give that, okay? The workshop, and this is why I think this is really another really good aspect that you need to, if you're a business owner, that you need to be consider to put that time and that budget in, is that because it's such a short time, it gives you a chance to maybe learn a little bit more or sharpen a skill or get updated. That's kind of my thoughts on why I think that a workshop would be good, or is a good thing to maybe do it like once a month or once a quarter or something, depending on how busy your business is, or how you decide to structure your time in your business. But I think it's really important because you get to learn something that maybe you didn't get to learn before. It's both a time commitment, that means you can't do something else. So pick your workshop wisely. Pick what you're going to do, and commit to it, but pick it really wisely. Make sure that it's meeting your own business goals. Make sure that it's actually doing what you want it to do, or that they're going to talk about things that. And here's the other thing I want to put out there is that if you're interested in a workshop, see how responsive they are. Email them. Reach out to them. Is there a way? Email them and ask them a question. See if they ask you questions. Is there prep work that they want you to do to get ready so that the workshop can be more effective for you? Very interesting questions, a very interesting perspective. And I say that because that's different than a webinar. A webinar is really, it's almost like sitting in a movie theater. Totally different. Even though, how many of you guys have been in the webinars where they're like, hey, so good to see you. Oh, everybody's coming. Well, we're almost full. And you just see that like numbers going 100, 200, 300, and it's like 500 people in the room. And, and then you really start to kind of go, really? Is there 500 people in this room? Is there really 500 people in this room? Or does the number just say there's 500 people in the room? Because I don't buy it. Some of them I do. Most of them, absolutely not. They might have 10 to 15 people in there. And honestly, I'd rather be in a webinar situation where I know there's only 15 and that when I ask a question, that they actually take it seriously. Not that they have to stop their whole presentation in the webinar for it. It's not what I'm saying. All right. So that being said, Raul, is it about quality or quantity? Well, I guess, would you rather have a quality dollar or a quantity dollar? Okay, and I bring that right up on the outset because if you're here, you're probably watching this because you're a small business or because you're business minded, and I want you to understand that from their business side, they're trying to make money, and there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. Please understand, there's absolutely nothing wrong with making money. Okay, it's how you do it. Okay, and we have totally and utterly and completely burned out air quotes, authenticity, and help me out. What's another buzzword that we use? Just throw it in the comments. I will read it out as long as it's appropriate. Right. So we've totally destroyed those words, but I think it really does come down to when you're in a workshop or that webinar series, and I'm going to steer it back towards the workshop aspect. When you're in that workshop and you're given the impression that it's so full that they can't possibly answer all the questions, you're probably in the wrong setting because you're not. I like workshops that I get to ask questions and participate, that they acknowledge me. And honestly, guys, I really try to do what I practice, what I preach here, in that, for when I start the show out, I really do actually like to go in and say, hey, thank you. So, and just go right down the list and recognize you guys. Thank you for showing up because I know it's a time commitment for you. Whether or not you show up every day, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or here live in Huzzah, whatever. But when it comes to a workshop, I would think that unless, like I said, this is like a football stadium full of people, which it's probably not, take the time as the presenter and reach out and thank that person for coming, not just in a pre-sent email. Thank them individually. I personally like to be on camera. I don't like to hide behind slides. I don't like to, that sounds very derogatory. I don't like to be hidden behind slides. I'll say it like that. They have value, and I think, even today we'll be doing that. We'll do some screencasting and things like this to show you some of the experience in all that. But so that's some of the differences and contrasting in value that I see in doing a workshop. It's hands-on, it's for a short period, it has less to do with the audience and more as your personal connection with the presenter, whether you're doing this live in person or through the interwebs, whatever the case is. I think that there is a lot to be said for doing a workshop, and I already told you guys why I think that it's important that as a business owner that you take time, learn a new skill, learn maybe a different aspect, get updated on it, on maybe some, and I don't even mean like, how many of you guys are required to do like CMCs or CECs depending on what are, the continuing education credits. Think of it in those terms, but one that you get to choose. You don't have like only like 10 things in the year that you can do. To be honest, like I plan on doing this Instagram workshop quite a lot more frequent, maybe say once a week or every other week, as a chance to help people that want to use a particular certain social media platform that I still think is very relevant for business and how to use it. That's why I particularly chose Instagram. We're going to be probably doing another one on live stream. Somebody asked for Snapchat. I really want to make sure that if I'm going to do a workshop on Snapchat, that that's really my thing. I could probably give you a good walkthrough, but there's also a whole bunch of other walkthroughs But you guys get my point, is that I don't want to just do a workshop just to do a workshop. I'd rather do one that I think is really important, and that I feel that I have something to contribute to and not just regurgitate. Okay, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. The mastermind and the workshop, I think they're absolutely crucial for small business. And if that's something that you're interested in, please, let me know. If you guys are watching us outside of Huzzah today, I would just encourage you to visit my website. Go over to jonathantripp.com/better social. You can join. That's my email community. And I will be sending out a little bit later on today the invitation. If you're interested, you can let me know in whatever platform you're on. Just contact me. Let me know. Say, hey, look, I'm in. But if you want to actually be a part of my workshop today, the easiest way, and I will put this up right now, it's jonathantripp.com/Instagram workshop. Okay, that will take you to the page. Sign up from there, and it'll just kind of walk you through the process. Again, that's today at 2:00. Today on Thursday, and we're going to be doing this again, so I'll update the time, and if you guys have any questions like that, please let me know. Otherwise, guys, tomorrow, so tomorrow's Friday, we're going to do a week wrap up, and we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. Why social matters, okay? That's going to be our weekly wrap up, but we're going to be talking about a couple of things. We're going to be talking about Huzzah, Fire Talk updates. I want to talk about Snapchat and Facebook and why I think it's important, even if you don't actually use those features. Okay, so don't miss this show. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different with the visual formatting, so we can maybe have some fun. That's the whole point. But I want to invite you guys to come tomorrow. And do I have the link yet? I will post the link in our Facebook group and send out the invite. So. But that's tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and I can't wait to see you guys. So with that, what I'm going to do is we're going to be getting, let's get ready for tomorrow. And so we'll see you guys that time. Guys, thanks for joining us live. And by the way, if you are watching us here on Huzzah, we're gonna do a little bit of it after show. And so stick around if you're in Huzzah, okay? But for everybody else, thanks, guys. I will see you tomorrow.